Buffalo, New York, the Oakland Raiders met the Buffalo Bills, and many were waiting to see if the defending champion jinx that hit the Kansas City Chiefs last season would now strike at the incumbent Raiders. The once powerful Bills have been struck hard by preseason injuries and are trying to rebound behind a core of surprising rookies. Max Anderson, number 22, who is 5 feet 8 inches tall and weighs 178 pounds and is only 23 years old, is part of Buffalo's all-rookie backfield. Jack Kemp is injured, so the quarterback is rookie Dan Dara, 13th round draft choice from William & Mary. The rookies must hold their own and play beside the veterans, but there seems to be one rookie who already stands above the rest. He's Haven Moses from San Diego State, who is captured here in a graceful but unsuccessful attempt at a Dara bomb. From the opening gun, the powerful Raiders dominated play, and it was their defense that set up 2 quick scores. With 6 minutes gone in the first quarter, Paul McGuire punted to Oakland rookie George Atkinson, who caught it at his own 15-yard line. Atkinson's touchdown made it 7-0 Oakland, as he initiated a Raiders scoring avalanche as well as a personal onslaught against the Bills. In 5 punt returns, he gained 205 yards, which is a new league record. Minutes later, Gus Otto blitzed with the same results as before. Buffalo was forced to punt, and unfortunately for them, it was to be returned again by George Atkinson, the heretofore unheralded rookie from Morris Brown College. Pete Banaszak scored Oakland's second touchdown within 2 minutes as he ran over the flag from 9 yards out. The defense had set up the first 2 scores, but now the Raider offense was to be really tested for the first time. There were many familiar faces, including center Jim Otto. But perhaps the most familiar was that of the AFL's Player of the Year, Darryl LaMonica, who linked up with Warren Wells on a spectacular 57-yard scoring pass. Raiders 21, Bills nothing. In the second quarter, Buffalo launched their first legitimate scoring drive with mini Max Anderson supplying the punch. His 45-yard off-tackle sprint put them in great field position. But like other drives to follow, the Oakland defense went to work inside the 10-yard line. With LaMonica faking beautifully, Oakland started to move on the ground. Larry Todd carried past midfield. And then fullback Hewitt Dixon, number 35, rumbled in to score a touchdown that gave the Raiders a halftime lead of 31-0. In the second half, Bob Capadonna, number 36, tried to get Buffalo moving. Then it looked like the first half was repeating itself again when Ben Davidson hit Dara from the blind side. But But this time, All-Pro guard Billy Shaw was in the right place at the right time. Buffalo scored its only touchdown on a nice catch and run by Capadonna midway into the third quarter. With 1 quarter remaining and trailing 34-6, the Oakland defense must have been an awesome sight to the Bills. Ike Lassiter, Ben Davidson, Dan Connors, Willie Brown, and the others, besides holding Buffalo to a touchdown, held them to a staggering net passing count of minus 19 yards. The fourth quarter belonged to Larry Todd, number 22, a smooth-striding halfback who's been a second stringer behind Pete Banaszak. Oakland's message to the rest of the league is that if Larry Todd is playing behind someone, they must be a stronger team than ever. And last year, they were the best in the AFL. Oakland 48, Buffalo 6. Saturday night in the Orange Bowl, the Oakland Raiders put on a powerful, impressive, and well-balanced show as they rolled over the winless Miami Dolphins. Miami quarterback Bob Greasy faced his toughest challenge of the 1968 season and came out a loser. With 6:42 elapsed in the first period, Darryl LaMonica eased a 73-yard bomb into the hands of number 81, Warren Wells. The pass made it 7-0, and the Raiders were ahead to stay. Miami was soon forced to punt, and the Raiders began to move again. Hewitt Dixon, number 35, powered off left tackle for 14 yards. With the ball in the Miami 41, Dixon picked up 20 more yards on a slant off right tackle. Four plays later, LaMonica hit number 33, Billy Cannon, with a 3-yard scoring toss. That made it 14-0. On the last play of the first quarter, Dixon took a swing pass and churned out 21 yards. LaMonica then threw a screen to number 40, Pete Banaszak, who picked up 2 great blocks and roared 49 yards down the sideline to put Miami behind by 21 points. But the Dolphins fought back and capped an 82-yard march with a 4-yard pass from Greasy to number 20, Larry Seifel, who just made it over the goal line. Behind now by 14 points, Miami had a chance, but LaMonica killed all hopes with his 4th touchdown pass, an 11-yard hookup with number 89, Bill Miller. On the ensuing kickoff, rookie Eugene Milton from Florida A&M gave the Dolphins something to smile about as he raced 73 yards to the Oakland 27. 5 plays later, Greasy threw an 11-yard pass to number 89, Carl Noonan, who made it Oakland 28, Miami 14. After an Oakland punt, Dan Birdwell and Carlton Oates trapped rookie Jim Kick in the end zone for a safety. A few seconds later, George Blanda kicked a 6-yard field goal to give the Raiders a towering 33-14 advantage at halftime. In the early minutes of the third period, Pete Banaszak took off around right end on a 43-yard excursion, which made it 40-14. Early in the fourth period, Syracuse rookie Larry Zonka gave Miami its 21st point on a slant-off tackle from 2 yards out. 5 minutes later, Willie Brown intercepted a greasy pass and ran 27 yards to make the final score 47-21 in Oakland's favor. The Raiders went after their third straight win as they challenged Houston in a rematch of last year's American Football League championship game. The second time Oakland touched the ball, they dropped it. Hewitt Dixon lost the handle, and George Rice, number 72, the Oilers' massive tackle, found it. With precision ball control, Houston moved to Oakland's 8-yard line. Pete Beathard hit rookie Mac Hike for the first score of the game. Another look at the touchdown shows number 86 Hike with a step on his man and on the inside. The Oilers led at the end of the first quarter, 7-0. Early in the second quarter, Houston, inside their own 20, tried a pass on 3rd and 11. But Oakland's free safety, number 45, Dave Grayson, slipped in and with a clear field ahead, scored Oakland's first touchdown. The score was even, 7-all. The next time Oakland got the ball, they were on their own 20. That is until number 72, George Rice, dropped Darryl LaMonica on his own 2. Standing on his own goal line, LaMonica tried passing out of trouble. Houston's linebacker, number 56, Olin Underwood, crashed through and scored a 2-point safety for the Oilers. But the Raiders came right back with a field goal and took the lead 10-9 at halftime. Midway through the third quarter, Oakland began to take charge. Hewitt Dixon skirted the sidelines for 28 yards. A face-masking penalty against the Oilers added 15 more. The Oilers, hitting ferociously, again forced Dixon to drop the ball. But this time, Raiders center Jim Otto recovered. Oakland marched to the 9. LaMonica found Warren Wells in the end zone. Oakland increased their lead to 17-9. Trailing by only 8 points, Beathard started a passing attack to quickly close the margin. With Oakland covering his deep receivers, Beathard went to his fullback, Hoyle Granger, who went across the grain to pick up 12 more yards. The Raiders tightened their pass defense even more, and Beathard was forced to scramble. He proves he can get the job done as he picks up 19 yards. Stopped on Oakland's 22, the Oilers tried a fake field goal. Don Trule's pass was deflected by Dan Connors. The loose ball was fielded by number 67, John Whittenborn, who was supposed to kick the ball in the first place. The broken play keeps the Oilers more than a touchdown behind. The Raiders took over after the fake field goal attempt, and again showed their ability to move on the ground. The interior of Houston's defensive wall was constantly exploited for big gains. When the Oilers' middle linebacker blitzed, LaMonica threw a quick pass over the middle to his flanker, Fred Biletnikoff, for 12 yards. From Houston's 9, LaMonica again tested the Oilers' pass defense. Billy Cannon was clear in the end zone, and the Raiders had a 15-point lead. Oakland 24, Houston 9. The Oilers substituted their sophomore quarterback, number 12, Bob Davis, in the fourth quarter. This clutch scramble netted a first down on 3rd and 10. Not since the first quarter had Houston shown their ability to move the ball. The Oilers' passing game picked up as Davis went to his lanky tight end, Alvin Reed, inside the 5. Houston's fullback, number 32, Hoyle Granger, got the last precious yards, and the Oilers only trailed 24-15. A 2-point conversion could put them in position to at least tie the game. Dan Birdwell intercepted for Oakland, and Houston's chances of winning were almost gone. The Oilers trailed 24-15. But there were still 3 minutes left, and the momentum was with the Oilers. Woody Campbell was inside Oakland territory. Davis was hot and stuck to his passing game. Mack Hike on the receiving end, and again Houston was threatening. Then came the heartbreak play. Bob Davis's pass was complete to Alvin Reed, but Oakland's number 20, Warren Powers, pried his arms open and Reed fumbled. Dave Grayson recovered, and that was Houston's last chance. In a battle as hard-fought as the championship, the Raiders again came out on top, 24-15.
Finally, homecoming, undefeated, a win today over the Boston Patriots would make the Raiders number 1 in the West. The show put on for the home fans was nothing short of magnificent. The Silver and Black were enchanted. Nothing could go wrong. Even fumbles paid off. Flanker Fred Biletnikoff, following this play, picked up the lost ball and scored. It was another big win for the Raiders, their 14th in a row, and best of all, they were now number 1 in the West. But it was to be the last time that they would hold that number 1 spot alone.
If you were going to pick a perfectly miserable day to upset the Oakland Raiders, the San Diego Chargers couldn't have made a better choice. The first play of the game foretold all. San Diego's defense was not in awe of the Oakland Raiders' running game. Then there was the Raiders' passing attack. That too fell short. Number 40, Joe Beauchamp, stopped Oakland's first serious scoring threat. San Diego on offense is usually a bomb to number 19, Lance Alworth. But today Alworth exploited the short pass up the middle. The passes may have been short, but with a little running room, Alworth's gains were not. In close, Charger fullback number 37, Gene Foster, scored, and San Diego led 10-0 on this plunge and an earlier field goal. If Raider coach Johnny Roush looks upset, don't sympathize. He's got a defensive arsenal that's, well, impressive. Forced to punt early in the second quarter, San Diego couldn't have picked a worse target. George Atkinson. He's a dangerous return artist and should be stopped. Should be. Atkinson's 80-yard return left the Raiders trailing only 10-7, and Oakland fans know from past experience that this was the beginning of the end for San Diego. In fact, the Raiders defense started to play this little game called Dump the Quarterback. But number 21, John Hadle, came up with his little answer. Make up for the lost yardage, and then some, by going to Lance Alworth. Oakland's defense continued their harmless prank. But so did John Hadle, and this time he made it pay off. Alworth scored on the 38-yarder, and San Diego now led 17-7. Then, with just a minute to play in the first half, the Raiders quarterback, Darryl LaMonica, performed what is probably the most beautiful thing to watch in football: the precision last-minute drive. 80 yards in 40 seconds. Step out of bounds and stop the clock. Flood the defense with 5 receivers and go to your backs. From the 7, number 81, Warren Wells, made a beautiful catch, and Oakland only trailed 17-14 at halftime. Perhaps the second half is something the Raiders offense would rather forget. But don't ask the San Diego defense to forget their finest half hour. The second half offense of the Chargers, although it did not score a touchdown, displayed a second effort that made near losses into 5-yard gains. Gaping holes were punched in the Raiders' famed defensive front wall, and number 37, Gene Foster, had a game total of more than 100 yards rushing. And of course, there was always Alworth, the super flanker, the Bambi, who pulled out the third down situations, and the Chargers scored twice more on field goals. In the entire second half, Oakland made 1 first down, and that was on the last play of the game, when it couldn't possibly help anyone but the Raiders statistician. For Sid Gilman, the Chargers coach, this was the game that had to be won, was won, and was wonderful to be enjoyed. For the Oakland Raider followers, this 23-14 loss ended the 14-game winning streak, and worse, ended the myth that they were unbeatable. In Kansas City, an old philosophy made the Chiefs into a new team. With the old T formation as their basic offensive deployment, the Chiefs were able to rip through the Oakland Raiders' famed defense. Lynn Dawson only threw 3 passes in the entire game, But this 12-yarder, his longest, put the Chiefs inside Raider territory early in the first quarter. Using setbacks Mike Garrett, Wendell Hayes, and number 45, Robert Holmes, the Chiefs made up for their defunct aerial attack with almost 300 yards rushing. Number 38, Wendell Hayes, powered over for the first score of the game, and the Chiefs had a 7-0 lead. The Raiders' offense in the first half reminded one of the old children's game called May I. Raiders number 43, George Atkinson, gave them a giant step with a 53-yard kickoff return. But that's all the Chiefs would allow. First, they made the Raiders take 4 steps backward. Then 7 steps backward. On 3rd and 21, Oakland's Darryl LaMonica tried to take a giant step. But the Chiefs' number 42, Johnny Robinson, said, "No, you may not." And that's how the Raiders' offense managed to make no points and only 4 first downs in the first half. The Chiefs' offense, on the other hand, continued their grounded attack without mercy. Robert Holmes for 32. The middle of the Raiders' line kept opening up, and the Chiefs' setbacks kept coming through. From the 4, Kansas City surprised Oakland and went around in. Robert Holmes scored, and the Chiefs led by 2 touchdowns. A field goal gave them a 17-0 lead at halftime. Kansas City opened the second half with a brutal display of power. They continually gnawed at the center of the Raiders' defense. The longest gain was a 9-yarder by number 38, Wendell Hayes. But the whole drive was a superb example of ball control. Not only did they control the ball, the Chiefs also ate up 9.5 minutes in this juggernaut effort. It was not spectacular football in the flashy sense, but it put 6 more points on the board, and the Chiefs led 24-0. Finally, the team noted for the spectacular started to move. With little time left in the third quarter, the Raiders again looked like champions. Then came the spectacular, a 55-yarder from LaMonica to Billy Cannon, and the Raiders were on the board trailing 24-7. In the fourth quarter, the Raiders' defense was like that of old. Kansas City could not make 1 first down, and the Raiders scored 3 points on a field goal. With only a minute and a half left, LaMonica staged one of his famous precision passing drills. The passes were perfect, the gains were large, but the clock was small, and so was the Raiders' score. The belated rally ended on a 22-yard gain. The clock had run out. There was simply no more time left for the Raiders to stage a dramatic finish. The Kansas City Chiefs winning 24-10 is the fact, but what the fact means is that the Oakland Raiders, last year's champions, are now in 3rd place, and that's a long way from the Super Bowl. Having lost 2 games in a row, the Oakland Raiders were not about to be polite and let their visiting guest, the Cincinnati Bengals, make it 3 straight. The Oakland defense made one mistake all afternoon. Paul Robinson, number 18, caught Kent McCloughan off guard and covered 87 yards for the Bengals' only touchdown. From then on, the Bengals paid the price of facing the Raiders after they had lost twice in a row. And the way the Oakland defense was playing, it was doubtful that any group of mortals could have fared any better. The Bengals tried every conceivable type of play to catch the Raiders napping, but it became a matter of whose turn it was to go to the Raider woodshed. Leading Oakland's return to defensive form was Gentle Ben, Davidson that is, who nearly took Dewey Warren's head off on several occasions. Through their first season, the Bengals' pride has been their defense, and Oakland's stable of running backs can attest to the fact that with Cincinnati, an unassisted tackle means getting hit by 3 at a time. The Bengals pounced on 2 Raider fumbles. This recovery by Bill Kendrick set up a Cincinnati field goal. But the Raiders were able to run a total of 80 offensive plays. And given that opportunity, quarterback Darryl LaMonica could afford to experiment a little. One of the more successful of these was rookie Charlie Smith, who, playing before his hometown fans, responded by gaining a total of 70 yards and 8 carries. LaMonica completed 17 of 31 passes, 5 of them to split-end Warren Wells, who gained 118 yards, more than the other 5 Oakland receivers combined. After LaMonica had softened the Bengals secondary with passes, he turned Pete Banaszak loose for sizable gains. Oddly enough, Oakland's first touchdown was set up by punter Mike Eischeid, who fumbled the snap and promptly ran 17 yards for the first down. LaMonica then passed to Warren Wells, who is rapidly becoming one of the best wide receivers around. LaMonica found Biletnikoff for the touchdown, and Oakland was off to an impressive 31-10 triumph over Cincinnati. Two weeks ago, the Kansas City Chiefs demolished the Oakland Raiders with plays similar to these. Then the Raiders could only muster 10 points as the Chiefs won 24-10. That was 2 weeks ago. For this Sunday in Oakland, the two powers met again. The Chiefs were atop the Western Division now, but Oakland played like the defending champions they are. They had to win this one, so they did. Split-end sensation Warren Wells initiated an overwhelming scoring avalanche in the first half. This was Wells' 7th touchdown of the year, and it was highly appreciated by 53,000 Oakland fans. The score was 7-7 after the first quarter, but this was to be Oakland's day. Just ask the Chiefs' tiny Nolan Smith. The Raiders were able to quickly capitalize on several Kansas City turnovers. Darryl LaMonica called a brilliant game and frequently utilized his fine setbacks as receivers. This time it was number 35, Hugh Dixon, the league's leading rusher. From the one, Pete Banaszak got the first of his 2 touchdowns as Oakland continued to roll. This week, Kansas City gambled frequently and lost frequently. A situation illustrated all too well by Chiefs defender Johnny Robinson, number 42. Fred Biletnikoff rambled on to the 2-yard line, where LaMonica took matters into his own hands. The Chiefs would probably call it rubbing it in. The score at halftime, 31-7, which indicates that Oakland was playing some defense too. One of the big differences between the 2 meetings was that Oakland, or should I say Dave Grayson, number 45, contained Mike Garrett. Whichever direction Garrett moved, there was Grayson, dogging him like a little brother. Quarterback Lynn Dawson was in trouble, of course, from that devastating first half. Kansas City had to throw now, and Oakland knew it. Rookie quarterback George Atkinson took advantage of the situation, and the Raiders were off again. LaMonica flipped to his tight end, Billy Cannon, number 33, and this time it was defender Jim Kearney's turn to help the Oakland cause. The 38-14 lead gave Oakland a chance to showcase some of their talented subs, namely Charlie Smith, number 23. Smith is 6'2" and weighs 200 pounds and could probably start on several clubs. But if Oakland keeps rolling like this week, he may see plenty of action. With Jackie Lee now at quarterback, Kansas City at least scored the last touchdown of the day, a 61-yarder to Frank Pitts. The Chiefs' loss now deadlocks the Western Division once again, and it looks like Kansas City, San Diego, and Oakland down to the wire. The oldest established permanent cliche in football is that you need a great quarterback to win championships. The problem is, where do you find them? In the Eastern Division, 3 losing teams have great defenses but questionable quarterbacks. You can imagine a coach taking a stable of signal callers into a small room, blindfolding himself, and then pinning the tail on this week's donkey. But in the West, there seems to be no quarterback shortage. Take the Oakland Raiders, for instance. Basking in the sunshine of recent success, 50,000 Denverites turned out hoping for an upset over Oakland. I think we can do it, intoned quarterback Steve Tinsey confidently. So do I, added super sub Marlon Briscoe, hopefully. Sock it to him, she said, wistfully. But who's that old guy over there? It's me, George Blanda, and I'll bet my Medicare check you don't beat us. And with that, they were off. The Broncos started out with the kind of heroics that have made them real competitors. Tinsey found Al Denson for a touchdown, and the Broncos trailed by only 12-7. The defense gave Blanda some early rude treatment. But it was all short-lived as gradually the Broncos saw the game slip away from their outstretched fingers. Even Marlin the Magician couldn't escape from the Raiders strongmen. Soon, everything went against them. Oakland even scored when they didn't have the ball. On a kickoff following a touchdown, Floyd Little downed the ball in the end zone after it had bounced outside the line, and Oakland was awarded a safety. And they don't come any easier than that. The Oakland defense held off the Broncos with 3 interceptions. George Atkinson gambled in the end zone and won as he returned this one 35 yards. The Oakland strategy was to exploit Denver's aggressive but inexperienced pass rush with screen and swing passes. Pete Banaszak, number 40, and Hewitt Dixon, number 35, were but 2 of 6 receivers Blanda used. Subbing for the injured Darryl LaMonica, Blanda at 41 may be the oldest active player in football, but his arm doesn't know it, as he and the spectacular Warren Wells, number 81, teamed up on several occasions, twice for touchdowns. This pass and run covered 94 yards and put Oakland out of reach. Blanda, who completed passes for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, still had strength for 2 field goals as Denver couldn't handle that old guy over there as he beat them 43-7. For 58 minutes and 55 seconds, Oakland and New York slugged it out toe-to-toe until the Jets gained a 32-29 lead on Jim Turner's field goal. And not even the Shirley Temple Film Festival will prevent us from showing you what happened up to and even after that. Well, here they are. From New York City, Joe Namath. And from Oakland, California, Darryl LaMonica. Both these quarterbacks performed as champions in perhaps the finest and roughest game of the year. LaMonica's strategy was basic. Control the ball with deliberate short passes to his backs and ends. Billy Cannon demonstrated this theory perfectly early in the game. Joe Namath wanted to run his club in the early going, but found all avenues blocked. So he had to do what he does best, throw the long bombs. This one was incomplete, but it foretold of things to come. With seconds remaining in the first half, Namath threw to George Sauer, but pass interference was ruled one of 19 penalties called today. After the penalty break, Namath fooled everyone by running himself for the touchdown. The halftime score was New York 12, Oakland 14. The Raiders lost the ball, and now the Jets could take the lead. Rookie defensive back George Atkinson was having his troubles with the Jets' fine receivers, and Namath knew it. So he and Don Maynard picked on him until they scored the go-ahead touchdown in the fourth quarter. Oakland was now behind, and they just could not afford to be behind this late in the game or this late in the season. Fred Biletnikoff led a march that culminated in a game-tying touchdown. Through 4 quarters, the teams had battled, and now it was all even, 29-29. With less than 4 minutes remaining, it was a whole new ball game. But Namath and Maynard still worked on Atkinson, but more importantly, they were working on the clock. The Jets used up 3 minutes of time before Jim Turner set up for a field goal. The Jets led again, 32-29, with 1 minute and 5 seconds remaining. What transpired from here was unfortunately not shown to the nation's television audience. After returning the kickoff 22 yards, Charlie Smith, number 23, sped 20 yards closer. A costly face mask penalty moved the ball to New York's 43-yard line. Oakland's next play was to be their biggest of the year. With 42 seconds left, Charlie Smith put Oakland ahead, and in a replay we can see how he did it. Mike D'Amato was forced to cover Smith, and it was no match. Oakland's own Charlie Smith had given the Raiders a 4-point lead, and now the Jets had a chance to come back. Veteran Earl Christie lost the ball, and Preston Reidelhuber, number 37, recovered in the end zone for another Raider touchdown. Preston expressed the joy of all Oakland fans. In an astounding game, it was finally New York 32, Oakland 43.
Monica to Charlie Smith. Smith is hitting, and he scores! What a game! This crowd has gone absolutely berserk. Twice the Raiders have looked beaten, and rookie Charlie Smith, who's put on quite a show, has just grabbed this one. And now Oakland has the lead 35-32 with 42 seconds. But the Jets still have Namath coming back. That makes it 36-32. But now the Jets receive. The last two times the Jets have had the ball, they've marched right down for scores on Namath's passing. Namath 17 for 35 today, 342 yards. LaMonica is 20 for 32 and 251 yards. They squibbed this one to prevent a run back. Earl Christie fumbling it around. He fumbles the ball, and Oakland has it for a touchdown. Oakland has scored 2 touchdowns in 9 seconds. Oakland now is kicking off after the penalty on the extra point. They're kicking off from the New York Jet 45. It just might be that Ishid will kick this ball over the goal line. He might boot it into the seat. And he does. It bounces out again. The Jets will never lose a more heart-breaking game than this. They had this one right in their hands with 1:05 to go. They kept coming back and coming back. They scored with 3 seconds to go at the end of the half. They were behind, took the lead. Oakland went ahead. The Jets came back again to take the lead. Babe Parilli's the quarterback now. Boozer fumbles the ball. Ben Davidson has him, and Davidson bulldogs him down. Ben Davidson, number 83. This one's about all over, 15 seconds. We'll have a quick sign-off here. We hope you enjoyed the game. We'll be in San Diego next Sunday, 4 o'clock Eastern Time, with the Jets against San Diego. This is Kurt Gowdy, and a great job today by Al DeRogatis. And that's it. The final score, Oakland 43, New York 32.
It took Oakland 14 minutes to start rolling, but from then on, the bingo was a treed cap. Darryl LaMonica's 26-yard pass to Warren Wells set up number 23 Charlie Smith's 7-pointer. Despite excellent running by number 18 Paul Robinson and flamboyant plays called by quarterback Dewey Warren, Cincinnati could amass only 160 yards total offense against almost 600 yards for the Raiders. The Oakland defense played superbly, stopping the bingo threats repeatedly. Warren Powers made the game's only interception to halt one Cincinnati drive. LaMonica's passes soon led to another Oakland score as he hit Warren Wells for 58 yards. He then connected with number 35, Hewitt Dixon, who scored and bounced the ball into orbit. Paul Robinson's great running was to no avail, as the Bengals were continually forced to give up the ball. When they did, LaMonica, senior hitting Fred Biletnikoff for 18 yards, had the Raider offense powering along in high gear. The last play of the half was a screen pass to Hewitt Dixon, who covered 33 yards. Although it did not lead to a score, it was an omen of things to come. The score was 14-0 Raiders at the half. Oakland's offense got even better in the second half. LaMonica's passes, like this 41-yarder to Charlie Smith, set up 2 George Blanda field goals, and the Raiders led 20-0. The Raiders' powerful running game was led by Hewitt Dixon and rookie Charlie Smith, seen here battering his way for 21 yards. But it was LaMonica's passes that hurt the most. His 32-yarder to Fred Biletnikoff set up Charlie Smith's 9-yard burst for his second touchdown. Cincinnati's inability to stop the pass cost them 7 more points when quarterback George Blanda hit Billy Cannon, number 33, who looked like a hermit in the end zone. With the final score 34-0, the Bengals did not offer their fans very much, but it's the thought that counts. At the end of September, a team from Buffalo beat the New York Jets and then disappeared. After a long search, they were found alive and well in Oakland, where, led by transplanted flanker Ed Rutkowski, number 40, they completely outplayed the Raiders. Number 83, Bobby Crockett's great second effort exemplified the Bills' attitude. The Raider receivers repeatedly dropped passes, and quarterback Darryl LaMonica could not buy a completion, as Rutkowski outpassed him in every category. After a short conference with Coach John Roush, LaMonica suffered one more setback and then finally managed to hit someone who could hold on to the ball. It was Buffalo's number 42, Butch Bird. His passing attack foiled, LaMonica took it to the ground, where number 23, Charlie Smith, gouged out large chunks of yardage. and ended up like Cinderella, minus a shoe. The score at the half was tied at 3. In the third quarter, Warren Wells, number 81, found the stickum, and LaMonica found him. Rutkowski kept the Bills' attack moving with his passing and running. And despite the continued success of the LaMonica to Wells combination, the Raider offense could not score. However, the Oakland defense was another matter. Number 43, George Atkinson, intercepted twice and ran the second one in for the only Raider touchdown, giving them a 13-3 lead. But the Bills were not finished. Rutkowski hit number 25, Haven Moses, and a penalty moved it to the Oakland 5, where Max Anderson bowled over to close the gap to 13-10. Late in the ball game, the Bills were on the move again as good runs by number 32, Gary McDermott, and number 22, Max Anderson, drove the Bills to the Oakland 3-yard line with about 3 minutes left on the clock. But now the Bills were finished as Rutkowski's fumble on a keeper was recovered by a relieved Oakland team. The Raiders' narrow 13-10 win must have caused some raised eyebrows in Kansas City and San Diego. The only excitement left in the Eastern Division is the race for second place. But in the West, tension is still building to the last week. Oakland must face the San Diego Chargers, one of the teams that beat the Raiders in their mid-season slump. The only problem is that Oakland seems to be having a late-season slump. They have just barely won their last 2 games against teams low in overall ranking. The Raiders, who were favored by 23 points, quickly established themselves as heavies in other departments. Linebacker Ralph Oliver, number 56, and defensive end Ike Lassiter, number 77, did a sprightly number on Mike Current, number 74 of the Broncos. Oliver then briskly repaired to the DMZ established by the gentleman in the striped shirt. The Broncos then proceeded to do a tune on the Raider defense. Floyd Little moved a screen pass to the Denver 44. Marlon Briscoe, playing with his usual calm, burned George Atkinson with a bomb to Al Denson early in the first quarter. With everyone in the park poised for the Raiders' ultimate destruction of the upstarts from Denver, the Broncos added insult to injury when Charlie Greer, rookie from Colorado, intercepted Darryl LaMonica's pass intended for Warren Wells. How long can this go on? For a while at least, as Floyd Little makes it 14-7 Denver. Then it was Atkinson's turn again as he fielded the ensuing kickoff, made a nice dash upfield, and promptly fumbled the ball. It didn't last forever, though, as Oakland spotted Denver a 20-10 second quarter lead and then settled down and went to work. Passes to Billy Cannon, number 33, and Fred Biletnikoff, number 25, were instrumental in setting up LaMonica's touchdown pass to Warren Wells, number 81. But the Broncos hung right in. Briscoe threw several times to Floyd Little, who gained more than 150 yards during the course of the game. A Denver drive was aided by a piling-on penalty as Briscoe scrambled effectively all afternoon. Briscoe threw his second touchdown pass of the day to Al Denson, which made the score Oakland 30, Denver 27 early in the fourth quarter. The Denver defense was hitting very hard, and their only serious lapse made the difference. Oakland's Charlie Smith, number 23, turned an ordinary off-tackle slant into a 65-yard touchdown. The Broncos kept trying to come back, with Briscoe moving in more directions than an Egyptian belly dancer before hitting Tom Beer for 24 yards. Briscoe started his final drive on the 18 and was up to the Oakland 45 when Dave Grayson intercepted and returned it 54 yards as Oakland hung on for a 33-27 victory.
Last game of the season was against the only team the Raiders had not beaten, the San Diego Chargers. Kansas City had played its final game the day before and won easily over the Broncos, assuring them a first-place finish. The pressure was all on the Raiders. It was a must-win to force a playoff. By the half, both teams had scored, but San Diego led 13-10. Then the defense broke open the game. Roger Byrd fought a pass away from Jack McKinnon, and the Raiders took the lead, never to trail again. Even though they held the lead on spectacular plays like this 50-yard bomb to Wells, the Raiders, for the third straight week, just barely won. And worse, these very Chargers were the same club Kansas City had humiliated the week before, 40-3. This meant the Chiefs would be the favorites in the playoff. The Raiders, underdogs. The Oakland game plan was simple. Score quickly through the air and force the favorites to play catch-up football and abandon their strength, ball control. The plan worked perfectly the very first time Oakland got the ball. Now the defense had only to hold the Chiefs' vaunted rushing attack and they would be home free. Done. Still the first quarter, and again Oakland went into the end zone for a 14-0 lead. The last play of the first quarter was a post pattern to Biletnikoff, and before the Chiefs knew what hit them, they trailed 21-0. In the second quarter came the defense's finest moments of 1968. The Chiefs drove inside Oakland's 5-yard line twice and were denied touchdowns both times. In Instead, they were forced to take 2 field goals, less than 10 yards from the goal line. With only 28 seconds left in the first half, Fred Biletnikoff took the game completely out of reach. What it was just superior effort by one of football's most deceptive flankers. The moves made on All-Pro safety Johnny Robinson were phenomenal. But the rest, that was pure desire. You could read the final score on the faces of the players. Despite the nagging injuries, despite the longest Western Division race, despite the experts' predictions of eventual failure, despite everything, the Oakland Raiders had the discipline, faith, and desire to triumph in the West. Now they would meet the Jets in New York as defending AFL champions in quest of their 2nd straight championship.
Absolutely. It's quick. 4 years. It took a long time coming. 4 years. You want to win every year, first year on. Winning. Nothing else matters to me. Winning. Whether I catch 1 or 10. Nothing else matters.
At the time, I thought it was just a fumble, so I reached down, picked it up, and took off. We were just happy to get the ball.
Has there been a key this year?
There are about 50 strong hearts out here. That's where the key was.
Jet Woolley hat says, cold up there today. Jet Woolley.
For the thousands who came, for the millions who viewed, the AFL Championship seemed to offer a predictable struggle. The league's 2 best quarterbacks would match passes, while their respective coaches would match strategies. The game would be predictable in some ways, bizarre in others. But as the tension grew for the opening kickoff, one thing was clear. If the AFL Championship was to be a mere prelude to Miami's Super Bowl, it would indeed be a stunning prelude. Namath to Maynard again, 14 yards and a touchdown. On the play, the Jets would have to settle for a field goal from Jim Turner and a 10-0 first quarter lead. Number 25 would lead the Raiders to their first score early in the 2nd period. Quarterback Darryl LaMonica relied heavily on Biletnikoff during the touchdown drive. He and number 35, setback Hewitt Dixon, were to be LaMonica's only effective weapons, however, throughout the game. After Dixon's 20-yard run with a flare pass, Biletnikoff again broke loose in the secondary for the Raiders' initial score. A repeat of the play shows Biletnikoff's pattern contained neither great moves nor great speed. All he did was avoid an attempted tackle and an attempted trip by 2 Jet defenders, neither of which seemed to faze him. Down by 3, the Raiders had finally seen their first ray of sun. Even when Namath was on target, they could prevent him from scoring a touchdown. Broadway Joe would ultimately shatter this confidence. On the following kickoff, the Raiders received their only real break of the game. George Atkinson seemingly fumbled, but the whistle blew the ball dead and Oakland retained possession. LaMonica quickly moved his team into New York territory, again having success with a flare pass to Dixon. But here marked the beginning of what was to be the key to defeat for the Raiders. Their inability to cross the goal line once inside the Jets' 20. This was the first of 5 such opportunities in the game. All but one would fail.
George Blanda's field goal made it 13-10 with only minutes left in the half. There would be no more scoring for either team. But their efforts were negated when Roger Bird fumbled the punt return right into Bake Turner's hands. Unruffled by a seemingly fatal turn of events, the Raiders defense closed the door on Namath's offense. From his own 6-yard line, LaMonica would again take the Raiders to the brink of New York's goal line, and he would do it exclusively through the air. Oakland's ground game by now had become ineffectual, but Biletnikoff was unstoppable. The last play was not only dependent on Biletnikoff's catch and breakaway move for its success. His co-receiver, number 81, Warren Wells, laid a crushing crossbody block on safety Jim Hudson that afforded Biletnikoff extra yardage. Used mainly as a decoy until now, Wells then turned receiver on the next play, and the Raiders would have a 1st and goal on the 6. But the Jets' defense refused to budge. Jim Hudson made 3 straight tackles, and the Raiders could move only to the 2. Now, midway through the period, Coach Rauch refused to gamble on 4th and 2. Blanda's field goal tied the score at 13. And finally, he made the big play, the touchdown. Again on a 3rd down call. A flat pass to tight end Pete Lammons, who rolled into the end zone and gave the Jets a 20-13 lead at the end of the 3rd quarter. The Raiders again eased their way into the shadow of the Jets' end zone. Biletnikoff beat Johnny Sample for 57 yards soon after the quarter began. On the last play, Sample went for an early fake that allowed the Raiders receiver a step, but Sample made a good recovery after the catch to prevent a touchdown. Then it would happen again. For the 3rd time in the game, the Jets defense met LaMonica's challenge and denied the Raiders their goal line. The tragedy for Oakland on this 3rd down play was that Wells had sneaked free behind the secondary, but the pass instead went to Dixon and was easily batted away and almost intercepted by Jim Hudson. The Jets gave up 3 points but had prevented 7, which must have disheartened the Raiders. Made his only mistake of the game as he was intercepted by George Atkinson. Only a rare tackle by Namath himself saved a score. Namath's mistake on the pass was obvious. He hung the ball up a hair too long, and Atkinson had a good angle to easily steal the pass away from Maynard. This time, the Raiders made good their challenge. Pete Banaszak sliced through the line and into the end zone. The decision not to use Banaszak more often in the game hurt the Raider attack. He demonstrated a singular ability to break tackles, and here gave Oakland their first and last lead of the game, 23-20. Namath slipped, regained his balance, and fired a rifle pass to Don Maynard through 3 defenders for the crucial touchdown of the game. Namath and Maynard have proved themselves as poised a combination under pressure as the AFL had ever seen. Gone. Following New York's go-ahead touchdown, the Raiders again quickly approached the Jets' goal line. But again, they could not unlock the door. On fourth down and with 6 minutes to play, Rauch this time chose to disdain the field goal. The strategy backfired. The man who made the last play was Verlin Biggs, number 86, who came crashing in from the right to end another Raider threat. Time and opportunity were now slipping away from the silver and black. With 3 minutes left, another opportunity and another failure would come to haunt the Raiders. Passes to Bolitnikoff and Wells, plus a piling on penalty, gave them a first down on the 12. LaMonica called for a flare pass to set back Charlie Smith. A good call in this situation, but the play was executed poorly. Considered a free ball, but not advanceable, the Jets took possession at the point of recovery, and with it took the last real hope of victory from Oakland. Fought to the bitter end, the final play must have seemed like an eternity. At 3:30 Eastern Standard Time, a champion was crowned. The Jets had closed the door on Oakland's offense when it had counted most, and well deserved their first league title. For the Raiders, it was a heartbreaking loss that would be remembered for a long time.